Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining SnapNrack's webinar. This morning, we will be conducting the solar aesthetics and the effect on your bottom line. We're going to give everyone a couple minutes here to log on and join in case some people are joining from another meeting of some sort. So we're going to give everyone a couple minutes and then we'll get started here. So just a couple minutes, bear with us. Okay, good morning and happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for joining SnapNrack's webinar of solar aesthetics and the effect on your bottom line. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. Today's webinar is worth 1 NABCEP credit. So if you stick with us to the end, you will get a certificate of completion. Please bear with me. I will need at least till the end of business on Monday to get that out to you. Also, we will have a Q&A session at the end of today's webinar. If you want, please enter any questions you have in the questions bar on the GoToWebinar dashboard, and we will cover any applicable questions at the end of the webinar. Our host this morning is Kevin Hooper, and he will be our presenter. Kevin, I am passing the presenter role over to you now.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, you're all set, Kevin.
All right, away we go. So, hello, and welcome to the SnapNrack webinar entitled Solar Aesthetics, as Jill has already presented, and is the effect on your bottom line. That's going to be a critical part of this. So, my name again is Kevin Hooper. I am an applications engineer with SnapNrack, and today we are going to explore a little bit the aspect of aesthetics or appearances in solar and the potential impacts that it may have on your business. So that's going to be an important part of this presentation. So let's get to it. Here's a quick look at the agenda. Talk a little bit about SnapNrack and our role in the solar industry today. We'll go into the effects of aesthetics on business and referrals, then get into what makes something aesthetically pleasing, the importance of aesthetics in solar, then look at the aspects of a solar system that might contribute to its aesthetics, then explore how SnapNrack products contribute to the aesthetics of the array, and then look into the proper balance of solar performance and aesthetics, and then finally do a wrap up with customer satisfaction that is going to be impactful to everybody. So, quick overview about SnapNrack, kind of a timeline here. Been around since 2007. Started out as a racking portion of REC Solar, where the installers with REC, we're looking for a better solution, a simpler solution to racking, and developed SnapNrack with the snap-in features and the wire management features that are still being used and utilized by our company today, and a lot of innovations that started back then. 2009, kind of associated with AEE Solar, part of that family, and we're selling through the AEE Solar brand. 2012, we began selling through direct traditional distribution companies through Mainstream Energy, and then as we evolved back in 2014, SnapNrack received the UL 2703 listing, which we were kind of impactful in its development, and worked with UL on that one. The same year, Sunrun purchased SnapNrack through part of the agreement with buying out part of REC Solar. And then 2016 milestone, we reached 1 gigawatt of product. So that was a major accomplishment. 2017, we released our Ultra Rail, which we are selling today as a primary rail solution in the industry. Also went into tile replacement solutions and the railless systems. 2018, we moved into our patented or patent pending umbrella technology for the market for both rail and railless, which utilizes a system that makes a simple installation on the roof, but also provides a nice penetration watertight seal. And in 2019, we introduced a new profile for our Ultra Rail, which is our UR60, larger profile, and provided more strength for that rail for purposes of larger spans in certain areas that would require it. And just want to make a quick note too, also that our parent company Sunrun in 2019 took over market share and became #1 as in the position of residential solar. So with our Sunrun affiliation, it does provide us with some financial backing for our improved innovations and development of our products, having access to installation on the broader scale, and does allow us to move forward and have that resource. All right, here we go into the effect of aesthetics on your business and referrals. So what is aesthetics? That's a word that we don't use every day, kind of hard to say in some ways, but just a quick definition. It refers to how humans perceive and judge objects according to their attractiveness. And it does have an impact on how people make decisions. So painting murals on a building to make it more visually appealing is an example of improving the aesthetics of the building. Of course, depending on the mural, but effectively by providing something that is visually appealing and draws your attention to it in a positive way, that is kind of the aesthetics that we're talking about. So the question comes up, why would we want to explore aesthetics in solar? So that's what we're going to get into here today. But we want to just kind of bring this topic to the forefront to just highlight the impact that it can have on the bottom line, and to hopefully draw some awareness to the topic so that it will at least be given some consideration when you guys are making design decisions, and also during the installation process on the roof, and have it be part of the integral aspect of the overall solar system. So here's a picture of a whole bunch of solar systems, solar PV systems going in on a bunch of rooftops. I'm sure you guys have all heard of the phrase, keeping up with the Joneses. This is kind of an example of that. So as a trend, neighbors do tend to want what their neighbors have, if they like what they see. So if something is trending, something new, us as homeowners typically like to have the newest technologies and what our neighbors are moving into. And we are influenced by our neighbors. So there's that effect of plurality. the more solar systems that there are in a neighborhood, the more likely that more homeowners will be interested in purchasing one so that they're not quote unquote left out. And people do tend to follow trends with the latest technologies, like I just mentioned, including things like tankless water heaters, home security systems, lighting upgrades and window upgrades, those types of things that lend to the value of a home and also its effectiveness and appeal. So this is where it is important in making sure that the solar system that we're installing is attractive to the point that it generates that positive feeling. People feel good about what they're seeing and not negatively. It hopefully will allow the customer to share a positive way that they have a new solar system, that they're proud to show off what they've got on their roof, and it's not unsightly or something that would be an embarrassment. So it wants to be something, or we want it to be something that that is a positive experience for the homeowner as well as those around them, the neighborhood. And along that line, people tend to trust those people that they know and have experience with, and neighbors kind of hopefully fall into that category. So if someone's trying to make a decision on something, a purchase of something new, there's that tendency to want to get that experience from other people around them to help them in the decision-making process on whether to go forward with something or not. So this slide here just kind of shows that whole networking, positive networking, hopefully, that we can obtain through our neighbors and the referral process. So you start with one person that's satisfied, they like their system, they like the way it looks. They're going to tell their neighbors. They may tell one or two or three, and then those neighbors hopefully will pass that on and talk to other neighbors, and it just kind of works its way out and becomes this networking of referrals that you can develop. And that starts with a system that people are satisfied with. And part of that is the visual aspect of how that system looks on their roof. So a benefit of aesthetics, as I mentioned, is increased business. That is an important part of what you're kind of doing in your business. You want it to do well. It's a differentiator between you and your competition, or can be if you take that step to provide something that is aesthetically pleasing. It's much easier to sell something that is attractive or appealing, and if a potential customer sees something on their neighbor or a friend that they like, they're more likely to buy it. And in a price competitive market, that is leverage that you can have against your competitors, just being able to offer something above and beyond just the power production, which is a part of the system as well. So in essence, what you install on someone's roof becomes your calling card. It's out there for everybody to see and out there for you to show off. So that last slide showed kind of what you might want to have on a roof. This one is kind of in contrast to that. It's showing something that you may not particularly be proud of as far as doing an install, or if you're a homeowner, you're not going to want to show this off to your customers. So this is an example of what you don't want to be associated with, and what you don't want the neighbors of this homeowner talking about. It may be functional, but it does leave a lot to be desired, and the homeowner will take notice, and so will the neighbors in a detractive way. So let's talk a little bit about the cost of customer acquisition. There are different ways you can get customers, either through advertising, your in-house sales team, purchased leads, or homeowner referral incentives, and I made that one a little more bold so that that would stand out. And that's what we're talking about here primarily, is through the attention to the aesthetics in your solar system, you can leverage on that homeowner referral incentive program. Homeowner referral incentives are cheaper when they're compared with the other forms that we have listed there. And the networking referrals can be actually as much as 30% of your new customer leads, according to one large installation company that I spoke with. So here's the deal. You're more likely to get referrals from a satisfied customer, and that is going to be your most cost-effective way to generate new customers. And you know what? Appearance of the system does have an impact on their impression of the experience. The other thing that you can generate with your basically the attractive appearance of that solar system are the testimonials, and you can get these testimonials from customers that are satisfied. You're not necessarily going to want those testimonials from those that are not satisfied, but if you can leverage these testimonials and use them in your sales portfolio, that's a win for you. So here's a form or a line or a saying that you probably don't hear too much, but I like it. I use it a lot in design. My original background was in architecture, and this was used quite a bit in design work. Form follows function. So you're going to have a function, and then you want that form, the shape, whatever, to kind of be in alignment with that function. But you want it to be attractive. You want it to make a statement, but you want it to have something to say that people are willing to look at. So in this case, we're looking at doors and windows. All residents will have doors and windows, and you can see from these pictures that these are attractive doors and windows. They make a statement. They are attractive, but they're also functional. And that's kind of what we want to achieve with an aesthetically pleasing system, is something that is functional as well as being attractive and become part of the building that is appealing. As an example, I designed fire sprinkler systems for a while, and that would oftentimes get a negative input, or not input, but people would look at it negatively as, why do we have to have one more thing to look at in this building? But then I would point out that, okay, look at your smoke detectors, look at the heating vents. We have all become accustomed to those, and we understand their function and the value. And if they're installed properly, that function can be more readily accepted as part of the building structure. And that's kind of what we want to that approach with the solar system as well. If it's designed properly and you put it in the right place, it will have less of a negative impact. Skylights are another example of something that is a part of a building structure where form follows function. And a skylight is much like our PV systems on a roof. In fact, I will look at them sometimes, and when I'm putting them out to people, say that looks just like a skylight up on that roof. So that's something that we can kind of gear our design around. They're an element that people understand the purpose for. It's part of the structure. And if it's a part of the structure and they're designed and placed on the roof in a fashion that makes them look like a part of the structure, then they're accepted. And that's where we want to go with our solar systems as well. So in order to achieve that aesthetic view and aesthetic appearance, the pleasing one anyway, I just threw this slide on here to show a very attractive looking deck. And this is something that this is your finished product. This is what you'll be looking at. But in order to maintain that or establish that, you've got to have a good foundation. And you want something below that deck that will provide the basis for that appearance. It needs to be able to stand, which this one does, kind of has a floating appearance, but you know that it's a solid structure just by the way that that it looks. So you start with a good foundation, and it takes a good foundation to create that aesthetically pleasing finished product. The elements that support the final product are not necessarily visible. They shouldn't necessarily show, but they do contribute to the appearance of the elements that do show, because you've got to have that foundation. I like this picture. This just kind of is a big view example of something that is, I believe, aesthetically pleasing, but it also gives that value of being something that is structurally sound, and it looks like it is secured. It's also symmetrical, and you know, something that you look at and you go, that's pretty solid. I like the look of that, and I know that it's going to be solidly secured, and it is. So when we're doing something that we want to be aesthetically pleasing, we're going to be looking at symmetry or balance, something that it has clean lines and is in alignment with its whatever's installed on. We want it to blend in with the roof architecture as much as possible, and we want to have a low profile. So these are just a few pictures of something that make an architectural statement. You're not going to be installing these probably on most of your houses, but this just shows something that looks aesthetically pleasing for the most part, and it kind of blends in with the surroundings or with the structure itself, becomes a part of the structure, and actually, I think, enhances the structure, or on the ground mount, enhances that ground mount. So with the symmetry and balance, you can see that house on the left. You've got two arrays, one on the upper roof, one on the lower roof. They're both in alignment with each other. They're in alignment with the roof itself. They're both arrays they're balanced, and they've got the proper border around them. It looks like they belong on that roof from what I can see. Similarly, on that house on the right, the array on the left of that house, it's over the garage. It's nicely balanced, it's symmetrical, and it's full. You know, it fills in that roof, makes it look like it's part of that roof. Even on the same with the right, it is in alignment, and it looks like it belongs there. Just a little side note, there's a golden ratio rule that is another one of those unspoken rules. It's the ratio is 1.6 to 1. It's kind of recognized as a common design ratio that is naturally pleasing to the human eye, and that's something that you're not going to really do that on every system, but just kind of keeping in mind that there are ratios, there are ways to design a system that are pleasing to the eye, subconsciously or consciously. And the typical solar module does have a ratio of 1.7 to 1. So that's kind of that ratio that you can consider in your design. So more on the alignment and clean lines. Another couple of examples of nicely pleasing to the eye systems. They appear to be, you know, evenly balanced, nice even border around the arrays, and look like they are part of that structure, and actually become an architectural feature if they're done right. blending, if you can blend the module array in with the roof to have it balanced properly so that it looks like it belongs there, that's a win for you. You don't want that array to receive or attract negative attention. If you can just have it be a part of the structure, so where it's not drawing someone's attention that is negative, that's an important factor to consider. And if it's unnoticeable, if it blends well, that's as important as having something that is architecturally pleasing and stands out. So you just basically don't want it to detract from the home and from the roof. Low profile, we mentioned earlier, is important to have it sitting low on the roof to make it look like it is part of the roof structure. And that can be done with your racking system to keep that low profile. You want to make sure that you're maintaining the proper airflow to maintain the efficiency of the panels, and that's going to be dictated by the module manufacturers. They tell you what that distance needs to be, but just the as a basic rule, you need to have a few inches of air below that array, but you can minimize how high that is just by keeping that within those guidelines and keeping that array as low to the roof as you can. So we'll just kind of go through a couple of slides here that show some what I call questionable aesthetics. Maybe something could be to have done a little differently to adjust this array so that it would look a little more aesthetically pleasing, to where it could have been designed a little differently. So you can see that the edge, I'll use my pointer here, the edge here is a little bit off. These don't line up at the half point nicely, so it doesn't look that bad. But this lower row may have been able to move over a little bit and make this a little more uniform. So just in consideration, particularly if this is going to be visible from the street or from the front yard, just to keep those things in mind, where just a little bit of tweaking on the design may have made a difference in the way this looks. A couple more examples here. The slide here on the left looks like there's a little bit of attempts here on the lower and the second row to kind of line things up, but then they're a little missed up on the top here. I understand you can't always have the alignment that you're looking for. In some cases, you just need the power production, and I get that. This aesthetics issue is not going to be something that you're always going to be able to attain, but if you can consider it, there may be some ways for you to tweak the design, install it in a way that does make a difference. And that's kind of an example over here. I don't know what the structure looked like below, but if they had moved this one solar panel down here, then you would have had a much more aligned array. Might have made a difference in the way that it looks and have a little more appeal to it. So here's an aspect that probably hadn't considered before, and it's kind of subtle, but it may or may not have an impact in your business. So here's the importance of aesthetics in passing an inspection. Typically, you want quality workmanship on your array, on your installation. And if you have that quality, it's going to show in the overall appearance of your array. That may have an influence on how the inspector approaches the way he inspects your system. If it's a clean looking array, everything seems to be lined up, everything is in order, it's nice, it's neat, subconsciously, whether or not the inspector looks at that and says, "Hey, I like this. I would believe that the rest of the system is probably in the same condition." On the flip side, probably more important is if an inspector shows up and things are not in alignment and doesn't look like a clean installation, they may dig in a little deeper and they may look a little more closely at your system. So again, this may have some subtle influence, but just something to consider when you're dealing with inspections and what an inspector might be looking at when they come out to look at your system. So the system is a sum of its parts. I like this picture. It's an attractive home. It looks like there was care taken in the design of this system. Two separate arrays, but they're both symmetrical. It looks like there was care taken into the design, and that it kind of becomes part of the roof. It kind of blends and almost comes together as part of this whole structure. So when you're doing that design work and you're looking at the overall system, you want to consider the modules. They're they're pretty standard, uniform in appearance. You're just kind of given those shapes to work with. Frame colors are important, whether they're silver or black. You kind of want to consider what frame color to use. I know black is a popular color. It does give that more elegant look. The other thing to consider are the edges. So around the edge of your array, that also comes into play as far as how the overall system looks and blends in with the roof. The module frames and the ends of the rails, how that comes into play with your overall view, give that consideration. So think about how this system looks when you're standing on the ground looking up at it when you're doing your design. So now we're going to get into kind of the nuts and bolts of how to establish an aesthetically pleasing system. It starts with the mounts. That's the part that sets the foundation for your system. So some things to consider when you're selecting your mount. The color should match the color of the roof or blend in as much as possible. Typically you're going to have a silver or a black selection to make. You want those mounts to be hidden from view as much as possible. That's done basically by where you're mounting you're installing your mounts in relation to the roof and where the modules will end up. Kind of give that sense that the array is just kind of floating on the roof. If the mounts are going to be visible, and often they are from the street level, just from the visibility plane, you want to maintain as much as possible a uniform spacing with your mounts. So it looks, again, like they were intentionally placed. Leveling is going to be important. You want that array to look level. That gives it also that appearance of being designed that way and intentional and care and thought taken into the design and the installation. Even if you've got a wavy roof, I believe if you've got a nice, clean, level array, it does make a statement. The clamps over on the right side of this slide, you again want to take into account the color. It's more attractive to have that clamp be the same color as the frame. So if you have a black frame, you're going to want to select black clamps, unless you want to make that unusual architectural statement and have silver on black, but that's typically not well received. So try to match the colors with the frame. And fortunately, we have those color selections that will match it. Fortunately, in one sense, you've got two selections to make. Makes it kind of easy: silver or black. All right. I mentioned leveling. So here's some other things to consider when you're doing your design and when you're doing your installation. kind of as a high-level overview, the precision engineering with leveling is going to be something that you're going to want to consider when you're selecting your racking system. So that leveling capability is an important aspect to maintain that flat plane array. You're going to be looking for superior wire management. You do not want those wires to be visible from the below, the front yard or from the street. You want to maintain the wiring up above that roof level. The aspect of having an array skirt for the concealment of wires, and the underside of the array where you have a more visible array, that can also come into play in the aesthetics. And then the finishes on the rail and components should match the finish on the modules. So here we're looking at a couple of pictures of mounting and rail. So these are going to be the structural elements of your array. You want to have them tucked underneath the array, and you want to have the ability to have adjustability in those roof mounts. So with the mounts that you're looking at here, these are SnapNrack our Ultra Rail mounts. There's a leveling slot in the L-foot that provides for infinite positioning within a range of an inch. So you can have that leveling capability in the vertical up, the up and down direction, just by loosening and then tightening the securing bolt. That leveling allows for that flat planar array that you're going to be wanting to achieve. In addition to that 1 inch of vertical adjustability, SnapNrack also offers an extension that can be attached to that L-foot to allow you for more adjustability in the case where you've got just an older roof that may have some big sags in it. The other aspect that we mentioned earlier, wires. It's an important part of any array. Obviously, it's going to be on your mind, and it's going to be a big part of the installation process. What SnapNrack offers are larger rails channels, so that they easily accept the wires as you're running your wires along your row. You can just lay them in the channel. We have retention clips that hold those wires in place to keep the wires from wanting to come out, which they often want to do. And then we also offer wire clamps that will clamp the wire and make a real nice solution for running the wires between rows, and then also coming out of the channels and running them into your junction box, or just maintaining that wire management to keep those wires taut and help with the wire behavior, wire management. The other nice feature with all of our wire management is that they all just snap into the rail like our other components that use that snap-in feature. So here's kind of a compilation of our wire management features. The snap-in is just intuitive. It also decreases the training time. There's no drilling. It's just very simple. It just snaps into place and then maintains that position in the rail. The wire retention clips, that's these little guys right here. Very simple little device. They just clip into the wire. Into the channel of the rail, and maintain the integrity of that rail wire management. And then also we have the clamp here. The clamps the wire, holds those wires firmly, and also gives some direction to how you run those wires. So with all of these features, keeping this wire above the roof, it reduces the risk of damage, and you do not want those service calls that you may get if those wires are hanging on the roof, rubbing on the roof, eventually creating shorts, as well as the aesthetics of having those wires hanging below the array and being visible from the street. We also offer a rail-less system. So even with our rail-less system, there are wire management features that maintain the wire management to keep the wire off of the roof and running into junction boxes and in between your rows as needed. So we have a flash track and speed track that are the attachments to the roof, and on those you're able to install your ground lugs and your wire management features so that you can run the wire, in addition to wire clips that clip to the module frame, which you'll be using more of on the rail system, that will manage your wires. Because you don't have the rail, you'll be managing your wires with the frame of the module, and with the wire clips, that is how you'll be maintaining the wire management. Okay, let's talk a little bit about end clamps. So we offer a universal end clamp. It's we call it the UEC. You see it there on the left. This is a down the rail shot of it. It actually disappears when you install the module over the top of it, and it clamps to the bottom of the module frame and secures it from the bottom rather than the top. So it essentially will just disappear, and you're able to cut the rail so that it is flush with the module frame, and then by putting a cap on there, makes a nice clean visual at the end of your row. On the right here, you'll see where you've got the rail coming out from the end of your row. In some cases, you'll need to do that if you need to catch the next rafter. We also do offer an end clamp that's a top-down type. It's our adjustable end clamp. So you have both choices, but if you want the aesthetics, this over here with the universal end clamp is the way to go to give you that nice clean look. Also, I'll highlight that this is the array screen. I'm sorry, the array skirt that you see on the front edge of the array. So here's just a quick look at the different components and the finishes. Again, we talked about black and silver being our choices. This is showing the module frame, the black module frame, the end having been established with the universal end clamp, so you can cut the rail flush, and then finished off with the black cap. Gives it a nice clean look. There's a little closer view of it there. Again, our skirt gives it that nice finished look, and this is a retrofit type skirt, so it can be clamped onto any module and that has a frame, and it just goes on real easily. There are clamps that are attached to the module. The skirt actually just snaps on to these clamps, and it's a very easy installation, and it serves two purposes. I think it dresses up the array, so if you're looking at this from the street, it gives a nice clean appearance, as well as hiding any wires or any of the other components that would be below the array that may detract from the look. So it's kind of like trimming a window. You got the window on the house, you put the nice trim around it, it sets off that window, gives it that nice appearance. Same with this array skirt. So kind of an overview of the finished array, utilizing the SnapNrack components and the racking system. You've got the ability to provide clean lines with your array. The rails can be cut flush to the module frame to give that nice clean edge look. We have black rail as well as silver rail to match whatever module frame finish that you'll be installing. It does allow for those modules to be in alignment and no wires showing from below. And then it can provide for a nicely integrated system into your roof. So what does it mean to the customer? Now we're kind of getting down to more of a practical aspect here. So there's the human perception of what is aesthetically pleasing, and I think it's just kind of universal. Most people have that sense of what looks good and what doesn't look good. And it may not always be a conscious realization, but even subconsciously, I believe it has an effect on how someone feels about something, whether they like it or whether they don't like it, and will make an impact on their decision. So why do we care about the aesthetics? And does it matter when essentially, our main objective, one of our main objectives is to have a power source for the consumer that's theirs and that is efficient and is also a clean energy source. But in addition, we can help sell that product with the way that it looks. So there's that aspect of the acceptance to neighbors, that trending thing. Does it attract from the overall appearance of their house? I'm a homeowner. My house is important to me. The appearance of the house is important to me, and that kind of speaks to that pride of home ownership. So that's a definite consideration. And also consider the effect of the resale value on the house. We're a very mobile society. Well, at least we used to be. I think we'll get back to that. So, as we get back into the moving around the country, selling homes, that could be a consideration. So customer satisfaction is really what we're looking for here in selling our products. The attention to design and installation with aesthetics in mind is something we don't always think about, but if you just kind of tuck that into your design quiver, then I think that that's something that could help you with your bottom line. So being mindful of the aesthetics can help create future customers. So think about that in your overall business plan. Satisfied customer is the best business strategy of all. I don't know who coined that, but I think that has a lot of validity. So as we wrap up, this was just kind of a fun little slide just to show, what we might consider in looking at the aesthetics and how it might affect our customers. That big slide on the right, I'm sure those two gentlemen on the grass there are looking up at the solar array and going, wow, what an attractive thing on the roof. Probably not, but it does make a difference in the appearance and how people perceive their system and how it blends in with the structure. You want a happy customer, not the guy down there on the left. So that wraps it up for today. I hope it had some value to you. I hope as you move forward with your design and even your installation that you give a little more consideration to the aesthetics, the design, the look of the system, and how it might help and affect you with your bottom line and the solar industry on a whole, how it affects our industry and moving forward can make it a more pleasant experience for those that are looking at it and sell more of our product. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Jill. Thank you for your time and for your attention today. Hope you guys are all staying well and safe out there.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kevin. That was a great presentation. Wonderful job there. So I am not seeing questions right now. Remember everyone, there's the questions pane on the GoToWebinar dashboard where you can enter them, and we will read them over to Kevin to respond. Also, please keep in mind that today's webinar is NABCEP certified, so you will get a participation certificate. I will be emailing those out to everyone by call of business on Monday. Let's see. It looks like, Kevin, there is a question here. Is their preference towards which system, the railless or our ultra rail system, is one more aesthetically pleasing versus the other one? You know, does it matter which rail or railless? Is there, a difference in aesthetics there?
I wouldn't think so. Again, one of those slides showed the array, or actually, I use the example of a deck, and that is what we're looking at. We're looking at the final product, which is all the panels that are put together to make that array. What's underneath, hopefully, won't be seen. So essentially, either one will be fine. It's what you're more comfortable with installing, but either way, they both have leveling capabilities, and they can also be installed so that you're not really seeing a lot of the understructure. So I would say either one's fine. You're trying to achieve that finished look with the array, and that's your final product.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kevin. Looks like we have another question. Does water ever get trapped in the rail?
The rail is designed to drain. So with the end caps that will be a part of the system, if you choose to have that at the end of your rail, which we recommend because it does add to the aesthetics. Those end caps come with a drain hole at the bottom, so any water that would get into the rail would be able to drain out. You're going to get some just because it's up on a roof. You're not going to get a lot because it's covered by your modules, but yeah, it will be able to drain out of the rail.
Okay, great. Let's see, one more question here. Is there a place where attendees can find more information about aesthetics for installations?
We don't
Besides
have
our
anything.
website.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we don't have everything on our website, but we would consider that. I think that that's not a typical technical issue that comes up, but that's a good point. Maybe we'll work something up to have that available on our website, because I think it's an important topic that doesn't get enough consideration. So we'll give that some consideration.
Okay, it looks like that concludes all of our questions that are applicable to today's webinar. Again, I will be following up with everyone for NABCEP participation credits here. And if you have any questions after the webinar, please follow up with me. My email is here, jstrange@snapnrack.com. And again, please check back with us for more webinars on our schedule. We will be announcing more here shortly. So thank you all for joining us today, and have a great weekend. Thank you.